Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to an introduction into UX design with UX Academy. My name is Adrian Daniels, and I am the head of growth and partnerships at UX Academy. Before we get started, just drop a comment in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, or LinkedIn. Just drop a message in the chat and let us know if you can hear me. Let us know where you're from, what city, what country, what state you're from, and just let us know that we are actually live and you can hear us and you can interact with us. Okay. Just looking forward to getting some of your comments just to make sure that this is actually being streamed live and you can hear us, you can see us, so that we can keep the ball rolling. Yeah. Okay. No comments just yet. Maybe there's a little bit of a lag, so I'm just going to continue anyway. So yeah, once again, just let us know where you're dialing in from, what country, what city, what town. Let us know why you signed up for the webinar and what you're hoping to get from today's session. Great. I'm seeing some comments now. Labstyle, thank you for your comments. Callie, thank you for letting us know that you can hear us. This is great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wiles Doodles. I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you. I can hear you all the way from the Netherlands. Love it. Love it. Got some some roots there. Okay, so now that I'm glad that you guys can hear me. Let's get straight into the presentation. Awesome. We got some people from New York. Excellent. India, awesome. Serbia, fantastic. California, wow, perfect. Chicago. I'm sure the comments are just going to keep coming on, so I am going to be shouting out some of you later on. Okay, so yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay. All right. So before we go into the presentation and show you and obviously tell you about UX design and what UX design is and what it means to be a UX designer, I just want to obviously just share a little bit about UX Academy and why why you should obviously listen to us for a little bit, and why you should pay attention to us. And just for the record, lab style, you mentioned if this would be recorded, so just to let you know, by the end of this stream, this will be available for you to rewatch. So don't worry, you will be able to watch this presentation right at the end. So don't worry if you can't make the entire presentation, or if you need to head off in a bit. We will be able to allow you to watch this straight away as soon as this ends. Okay, so let's get straight into it. I don't want you to bore me in my voice, so let's get straight into it. All right. So let's go. All right. So who is UX Academy? So UX Academy. So we are a training organization delivering the best in UX design, product design, visual design. The list goes on. We've been around for 4 years now. And yeah, we're based out of London, and now we've gone online because of the global pandemic. And we're just a team of designers, enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, startup specialists. We have different backgrounds and different skills, and as a result, we came together and we set up UX Academy. We have a passion for delivering training and upskilling people, the design community, and people that want to get into UX design in that area. And it all started from Mobile UX London, which is an events company that delivers events, delivering the best practice of UX design across London, and now online with events such as UX Festival. So they've been going around for quite a number of years, and because there was a demand in the community for training, UX Academy was set up. So we decided to deliver this training, in small classrooms and during the evening, so that it works well with works around your job, it works around your full-time education, so that you can obviously be able to upskill whilst doing what you're doing. So that's a little bit about us. So why should you consider UX Academy? So here's 6 main reasons. So all our training is 100% online. So since the pandemic, we moved everything online since March 2020, and we've seen hundreds of students go through our programs, get jobs, work placements, speak at big events. The list goes on and on and on. I could be here all day telling you different stories. Real company projects. So what's important for you is if you're looking to get into UX design, employers want to see real life projects. So we base our courses around working with real life companies, startups, organizations, so that you can have the edge in your portfolio. We also have UX design mentorship, which is something we introduced when our courses moved online. We will talk about that a little bit more later. We have experienced UX design teachers who have at least 7+ years experience in the industry. You're going to meet one of our teachers very shortly who will be taking you through what UX design is. And then also have flexible payment options to meet your needs. And then you will all graduate with a signed course certificate from the instructors and the founder of UX Academy himself. All right, so all our students come from top companies, or they come to work at top companies, and you can see some names on the screen: Microsoft, Canon, BT, Amazon. The list goes on. These are all recognizable brands based in the West and based around the world. So tools that we use for our courses, you can see them on the screen: Slack for communication, for lessons, Google Drive for sharing resources, Figma for prototyping, you have Zoom for live training, and then Miro for online whiteboarding, and then Envision is also a digital product design tool that you can also use on the course. All right, so who can get involved in the beginner UX design course, which is coming at the end of April? Pretty much anyone and everyone. So whether you're a product designer, visual designer, freelance designer, software developer, psychologist, customer experience worker, UX enthusiast, UX design newcomer, you can get involved with UX Academy and in any of our courses. All right, so here's some testimonials on the screen. So we just had a course, a beginner UX design course, which ended in March, and you can see some testimonials that we've already got from the students. I won't spend too much time reading these. You can see one on the screen. UX Academy was a great upskilling experience for me. The staff and instructors are all super pros, and getting to dive right into client work was perfect for learning by doing, student like myself. Highly recommended. So that's from Patrick. Already he's got some work experience coming along, which is great. But yeah, feel free to visit myuxacademy.com/testimonials, and you will be able to read as much testimonies as you want if you want more. All right, so here are some of our course trainers for the beginner UX design course. On the right, you have Stratis Valachis, who is currently the UX design lead at Conde Nast. So if you know about Vogue, GQ magazine, the list goes on. He is one of the UX design leads behind that company. It's a worldwide known company. We also have Nora, who is going to be taking you through what UX design is. I'm going to introduce her to the panel so she can say hello. So Nora, say what's up to the guys.
Hey, great to see that everything's so international. I can see so many different countries.
Fantastic. Yeah, we can. We got Poland. Hey, Prem. Nice to meet you. I think I spoke to Prem. We got Atix from Vienna, fantastic. We are Giulietta from Argentina. I mean, there's just so many countries, and it's great to know that we have this international audience. And yeah, absolutely, Lab. Yeah, we're looking forward to sharing some new skills. And yeah, feel free to network in the live chat. So yeah, so obviously, as you can see, Nora, is currently UX designer and researcher at Define Crowd. She's got years of experience, and she's going to be taking you through tonight what UX design is all about. But just before she does that, I would like to let you guys know that if you are looking to enroll into an upcoming course, beginner UX design course, so it's an 8 weeks immersive program, which will take you from having little or no experience in UX design to becoming a entry-level UX designer, so you can switch your careers and get a job in the industry We have our next cohort starting at 29th of April. You can head over to myxacademy.com/enroll. The link is in the live chat, is pinned in the chat, is in the description box. Head over there, use the code workshop10 and bag yourself a discount. The rest of the discount will be applied when you're making the rest of the payment. So we will come back to the course, but right now we want to give you some value and tell you all about UX design. And Nora's about to do just that. So we're going to bring Nora on to take it away. So just let us know when you're ready with your slides, Nora, and then we will project it onto the screen for you. But yeah, I will be back shortly, guys, and then we will have a past student do a presentation, and we're going to have a Q&A session. So make sure you stick around. We do have a free gift for you at the end, a free guide that we're giving away, telling you how to break into UX design. So make sure you don't go away. Make sure you stick around because we're going to have some great stuff coming along within this hour that we're doing. So I can see Nora shared a slide, so she's now going to be presenting. So I will be back, guys, in a few minutes. So take it away, Nora. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can all hear me well. So I would like to give a little bit of an introduction of what UX actually is, UX design, how UX designers work, also a little bit about your journey with UX Academy and what you can do after. This is, of course, an introduction. I'm going to be talking for more or less 15 minutes, I'd say. So this is an introduction. But of course, afterwards, we're going to have the Q&A. So if you have any other questions, I mean, you can always then ask them in the Q&A. So first of all, what is UX design? If we talk about UX design, I think we first need to talk about what UX is. So what is user experience? So without going too much into detail into the history, I really like this quote from Don Norman. User experience encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its services, and its products. So Don Norman is actually a pioneer and inventor of the term user experience. In the early 90s, Don Norman, a cognitive scientist, joined the team at Apple as the user experience architect, and he was the first person to have UX in his job title. He came up with the term user experience design because he wanted to cover all aspects of the person's experience with the system, including industrial design, graphics, the interface, the physical interaction, and the manual. So this is initially how UX was actually invented and what it meant. And for example, you can also think about it when you go into an Apple store. For example, the whole experience that you have when you select the new device that you want to have, but also, for example, when you then take the device home, everything that is part of the user experience and not necessarily just only the app. But so this is how user experience initially was coined by Don Norman. A little bit maybe of a simpler definition would be user experience is the outcome of a user interacting with an artifact. It's the sum total of everything that affects your perception as a user. Here, what I would like to emphasize is, first of all, we have a user, a little bit more in a graphic format. We have a user, a human being who is interacting with an artifact. We're going to look at different types of artifacts that you might be designing in a second. But I just would like to emphasize again that UX is here the outcome. It can be a positive outcome, a negative outcome. But of course, especially from the perspective of a company, we want it to be a positive outcome. We want that the user has a good experience with the artifact. So now when we're talking about artifacts, for example, of course, artifacts, when you think of UX design, usually people think of maybe apps, but an artifact could be, for example, also remote control. Here I have an app. I said this may be a little bit more common what people think about when they think of UX design or a software. But for example, it could also be a dashboard in a car. Or for example, especially in recent years, virtual and augmented reality. Or something like also voice user interfaces. So now we talked a little bit about what UX is. Now, what is UX design? So UX design is, well, designing these kind of experiences. It's designing based on user needs, context, and principles to achieve a desired experience. As said, we want the user to have a good experience, because if the user has a good experience, it's also good for the business. If the user has a good experience, they might tell their friends about it. They might recommend the product, and so on. So in UX, one thing I think you also need to understand about UX is that UX design in itself is a very, very broad field. And that's also why maybe if you have already looked online what UX design is, you might have found different definitions and different kind of graphics. This is just one graphic that I quite like, because it shows how UX is a combination of technology, design, business. It's really quite a vast field, and of course also rather a new field, but it really combines also different aspects of design, business, and tech that all needs to be taken into account. And as already said, on the one hand, we want to design a good experience for the user, because in the end, that is also good for the business. We also need to think about what is good for the business, and also what is technological feasible. What can we actually design? Here's another quote, actually. So before the term of UX design was officially coined, good design is good business. So already in 1973, when Thomas Watson, the former CEO of IBM, in 1973, the former CEO of IBM said that good design is good business. Already back then, he recognized the value of good design and how that is actually also good for business. Let's get a little bit more concrete now. So how do actually UX designers work? What I gave you now was a little bit more of an abstract introduction into what UX is and what UX design is. How do UX designers actually work? First of all, as said, it is quite a broad field, and we will look at different roles within UX in a second. However, in general, we can say that the work process of a UX designer involves doing research, it involves ideating, and testing. So in general, the UX design process is very iterative. We don't just design something out of thin air because it looks nice, but we do research. We look at what are actually the needs of the users. Then we try to come up with different solutions. And then we test them and actually check again with the users if it actually matches their needs. Again, a little bit more concrete, what might be typical tasks of a UX designer? That, for example, includes conducting user research. I already mentioned research is a big part of what a UX designer does. It also includes creating sketches and wireframes. So a big part of the work of a UX designer is also that you don't just immediately design something that is completely finished and then only afterwards test it, but it's very iterative. As said, it's iterative. You try to first make some sketches, then you test it, try to get some feedback. Then you design something a little bit more high fidelity, and again, try to get some feedback. Basically, what you avoid is designing something, sending something off to the programmers to program something, spend a lot of money, and only afterwards discover that it's actually not what the users want and that it doesn't meet their needs. That's what you're trying to avoid. So also other tasks of a UX designer would be developing prototypes. Again, this is something where you can get some feedback on it, actually see how users interact with it, conduct usability testing. This is when we show a user an app and see how they interact with it and see where they might struggle, and again, iterate. We also coordinate with UI designers and developers. I'll come back to the term UI designers also in a minute. And also something like defining interaction models and user task flows. So for example, things like, okay, which button should I press? Or for example, on app, how should I swipe? What happens if I swipe like this, if I swipe like this? Defining all of these kind of patterns is also part of it. In a little bit more of a graphic format. So for just to show you some pictures, also how the work of a UX designer might look like. It's something like doing user interviews, as you can see here. It's also working in a team. This is a big part of the work as a designer. You usually work in a team. So for example, if that's something that you enjoy, UX, it's really crucial. It's a crucial skill for UX designers. And here, something else, as I already explained to you, you might create sketches before you immediately try to design something that is finished. You first make some sketches and then try to get some feedback on it that you can see here in the photo. Just to maybe take a step back, I really like this quote by Kelly Matheson. Designers don't come up with ideas. The right solution comes from the users, and we are facilitators of a process. Maybe I just would like to talk a little bit about a common misconception when it comes to designers. When I was a kid, I think I never really considered becoming a designer because I wasn't the person who can draw well. I was maybe a little bit artsy, but I was never the kid who really could draw well. But on the other hand, that's also not necessary to be a designer. Sometimes people confuse what it means to be creative. For being a UX designer, you need to be good at problem solving, which is of course also a skill that you can develop over the years. But it has less to do with just being creative and artsy and crafty. We don't just come up with ideas out of thin air, but we work together with the users and we are facilitators of that process. As I said, it's an iterative process. And we're together working with the users, we come up with the solutions. And it's not some kind of, like a process that you would have in art where I come up as the artist with the final result and then just present it. Some more photos. Here, for example, we have some testing. For example, we have some ideas for an app or for a new feature. And now instead of immediately programming it, here we have a low fidelity version and we just test it and see how the user interacts with it. And here we're a little bit later in the process. Here we have already moved on to the computer, to software, where we prototype something. Now to talk a little bit about must-have skills for UX designers. I already mentioned a few of them. So for example, collaboration and teamwork is a big part of the work of a UX designer. Some other skills that you need to be a good UX designer are storytelling and communication skills, user-centered design and research methods, user empathy, interaction and behavioral design knowledge, and wireframing and prototyping. Now to talk a little bit more about your journey with UX Academy. Just very quickly, you can also ask more questions about the course agenda later and also get more information from UX Academy. But basically, the way that we build up the course is that in week 1, we're going to give you an introduction to UX design. This is done by my colleague. We talk about research, ideating, and facilitating workshops. Then I will take you through mapping and wireframing, prototyping, user testing, design iteration, and then my colleague will finish off with the project presentation and talk a little bit more about UX Live, give you a little bit more tips of how you can also find a job in UX. So basically the process that we teach you is a process of user-centered design, of course. So how you plan something, how you research, prototype, test, and iterate. So a week at UX Academy might look more or less like this. So in a week, you have a class. So you learn the theory, principles. We will show you examples. Then you also immediately train it. It's proven that the best way to learn is immediately using the knowledge. It's not great if you just read a book and then don't put the knowledge to the test. So that's why we have a class, and immediately we ask you to actually also use that knowledge in a practical way. So you have a project and you immediately apply the knowledge there. And if you struggle with it, we have mentorship. So through mentorship, you can get some guidance. You can ask questions. yeah, and we can coach you, and you can ask any kind of questions also, for example, yeah, related to the work that you're doing. For mentorship, I think if there are some questions about it, I can also talk about it a little bit later. But basically, in mentorship, as already mentioned, it's an idea where we want to remove blockers. You can get feedback and support on the project and so on. I still would like to now spend a little bit of time of talking about what can you do after. So if you decide to do the course with UX Academy, what can you do afterwards? First of all, I have already mentioned that UX design is quite a broad field. So there's not just one single thing you can do with it. First of all, UX design consists of, you could say, maybe 4 main disciplines. That would be, one is user research, the other one is information architecture, experience strategy, and interaction design. And of course, also later, depending on what you want to specialize on, and also maybe depending on your background, your current career, one or the other role might be more interesting for you. So, for example, other roles in UX design would be product designer, user researcher, interaction designer, visual designer, service designer, and so on. So these are all roles that kind of fall under this umbrella of UX design. And if you have some questions about it, I can answer them later in the Q&A. But basically, what you do in the end, for example, also how much research you do, will depend on a lot of factors, like depending on what company you work for, whether you, for example, are hired as a user researcher or as a UX designer, depend on the size of the company and so on. And of course, this really also just then depends on your personal interests. And if you take the course with UX Academy, we can also guide you and tell you more about these different roles and what might be a good match for you. I'll now hand over to Adrian, and he can tell you a little bit more, and then we can also go into Q&A.
Thank you so much, Nora, for taking us through UX design. I hope you guys all got some great value from the session. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually bring on one of our past students. Well, because they weren't able to make it today, what I do have is a recording. So let me just share my screen. So what we have is Samantha. Samantha Burden is one of our top students. She's now got a job as a junior UX product manager, and she spoke at UX Festival 2021. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with UX Festival, but obviously it was quite big, and she spoke at the event, and she's done a great job. I'm now going to play her UX portfolio that she developed whilst on the course, so you guys can get an idea of what to expect in the course. And we will be back right after the recording for the Q&A, so make sure you don't stick around. We do have a free gift for you if you stay to the end, so please don't go anywhere. There's a lot more to come in the session. Let's get straight to it. Okay, so I'm getting some comments that some of you guys can't hear. There's no sound. So we are going to try that again. So just bear with me just one moment. Thank you very much. All right. So what we're gonna do is, because sound isn't working, we are actually going to skip this bit. What we can do, if you guys would like to see Sam's portfolio presentation, we can send it out on the email, and you guys can have a look at that. So what we're going to do is, because you guys are struggling to hear the sounds, I'm not sure why you can't hear the sounds. What we're going to do now is we are actually going to go probably straight into the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will answer them. And yeah, sorry about that. We will send this out. Let me see if there's something else I can do. Hold on, I'm going to try something else. Hold on a second.
Second. So my name's Sam, and I was part of the July cohort this year for beginner UX course. So a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm a marketing executive at Air France KLM, and I'm looking to move into, I suppose, UX because I recently completed a data analytics course. And for me, I kind of want to use data to, I suppose, better services for customers and users. So I chose the course because I wanted more working with a real life case study. And for me, it's also getting to understand a bit more about UX theory and in practice, and also looking at how to use UX tools better as well. So like Figma, looking at prototyping and that side of things. So I was working in a team of 3, and our project was called Blue Pass. So I'll give a brief introduction in terms of what we're talking about within my project slides. So for this, I'm just going to go through insights from discovery research in terms of analysing the actual app itself, walk through the ideation process in terms of what we learned through the research, and also again integrating theory from the course. And then also samples from design artifacts, so learning about what we learned from Figma, and also just designing wireframes as well for the actual project. So about Blue Pass itself. So Blue Pass is a mobile app that connects NHS staff with companies providing discounts specifically for them. The target market is primarily aimed at the NHS, but it's also more focused on doctors, nurses, and ambulance drivers. So when we received the client brief, the focus was on improving the experience, user experience and flow. So this is something that the app doesn't currently offer to users, and it also lacked that activation of discounts and sharing them. The key metrics that we advised to improve on were engagement within the app as well, and also the sharing of discounts. The reason why the sharing of discounts is important is because it's more about, I suppose, growth, and the client wanted to grow the app within the next couple of years to, I suppose, increase the position on app stores. So when we got the brief, we kind of wanted to understand what the market was like currently in terms of discount apps, not just for specifically for emergency services, but then also looking at other competitors within different markets. So our key, I suppose, competitor was Blue Light, and for us, Blue Light is an app that is not just focused on NHS, but it's also on emergency services. So looking at, I suppose, the fire service, looking at coast guards. And for us, it's more understanding the aesthetics in terms of, okay, and how can emergency service people actually log onto the app? How can they be registered to make sure that they are generally work for the emergency services? But also looking at, I suppose, design of how discounts are featured on the app as well. Then we looked at other similar based websites as well. So, for example, the NHS staff benefits. So this gave us an understanding of looking at how discounts presented, but not necessarily a direct competitor due to the fact that it's a website rather than an app. So the features and the actual usability would be completely different to what Bluecast is looking for. And then finally, we looked at apps that offer, I suppose, a similar sort of experience like Uni Day. So that was more of a indirect competitor, but we wanted to understand how we could present discounts better and also improve the onboarding process. Because, you know, Uni Days is a growing, I suppose, app for students themselves. So we kind of took inspiration in terms of how people logged on, understanding how discounts presented, just to get an inspiration and a core understanding of how these sort of apps work. So after we did that, we sort of took, I suppose we had a module in terms of understanding user research. And for us, it was taking on two people to research who are currently working for the NHS. Again, it could be any staff members, so working either in the back office or actually frontline staff. So we basically did user research. So we did a 5-minute warm-up questions to understand their buying behaviours, understanding if they currently use any discount apps, and also looking at the frequency and what they, I suppose, how they use it. Followed by doing a 10-minute exercise with the current Bluecast app. So understanding how they would use it, if there's anything that they felt was good, anything they found frustrating, just so we get key points of understanding how we can improve the app better for the users. So I'm just going to pull out a few key quotes that we found from the user research. So one of the key things we found the homepage confusing, as I was expecting to see more than just a blank screen. So it highlighted to us that possibly it wasn't so user-friendly for them to use. I would like asking my friends and family to find codes through WhatsApp. So again, there's kind of that engagement and sharing aspect that the app wanted, and also highlighted the user wanted. And I find the process of finding discount too long. So that was one of the key things for us, is actually, if it's too long, then we're gonna have to simplify the process for the user, just so they can be engaged more and actually want to use the app more frequently. So we took these insights and did some workshop facilitation just to get better understanding of how can we improve the actual app and what are the key things we need to improve on. So before that, we kind of developed a story in terms of who we're aiming these changes at. So our persona is a guy called Cameron. So he's a ambulance driver, and his current scenario is he's been recommended the app by one of his colleagues. And he's looking to use the app for the first time. So he's looking for a really good onboarding experience that he will continue to use for the long term. So his expectations from the app is it needs to be, he wants to save money, but he wants the process to be easy and simple due to time restrictions. Because he'll be using the app on an ad hoc basis, he also wants to feel engaged in terms of using it, and also wants to feel like it's tailored to him. He wants to be able to share these discounts, and that was a key feature for us when we were redesigning, is the fact that these discounts need to be, you need to be able to share these easily to friends and family, and vice versa. So he wants, I suppose, social media integration into the app. So following on from this, we sort of created a hypothesis of how I meet statements. So our how I meet statement was how might we improve the user instructions to the app, and this is broken down into four different aspects. So you need to improve the onboarding process. Creating a sign-up login process to make it more obvious at the beginning. Improve discount visibility, like we've seen in the competitor sites and apps as well. And the most important thing was social media integration into the app. So we kind of took the steps in terms of, because it's a long process, we decided to break it down into creating easier, more digestible steps for the user to use. So for us, it's kind of making sure that the sign up and login was easy to use and just a few steps compared to what's previously. Looking at the discounts, making sure it was more visible and easy to read and actually find the discounts, and then followed by how users might share the actual discounts to make it, again, more easier for them to use. So following on from this, we decided to take all the information we found from the workshop facilitation and actually redesign the app. So we all took in turns to sort of take small parts of the app that we felt we can improve on, but still have that same aesthetics of what the app was previously like, but then also taking on notes from other sites that we've seen, like similar competitor sites, basically. So basically just have an idea of how might we redesign the app, for camera to making sure it was easier for him to see and actually use, before following on to redesigning the actual app in Figma. So we kind of made high fidelity frames, as well as making it a prototype that was interactive as well for when we did the usability testing. So for us, it was simplifying the sign in and login that was similar to other sign-in pages that we've seen from competitors, and also like websites like Groupon or even Voucher, just to name a few, just so we can simplify the process. And then followed by, again, how the user will go on to looking at how the discounts are presented. So making sure the tiling format is something that they're familiar with other discount apps, but again, easy to read, easy to find what they were searching for compared to what it was like previously. Of the office page, make sure that it was more concise, but then make sure it's users can read as much as they like, give and take the information that they find on the site. Again, that's a similar feature that's been featured on other sites that we saw. So for example, Groupon does a similar thing. And then the most important feature that we had to add in was making sure that there was a share button and make sure it was visible for the user for sharing this discount via social media sites. So our recommendations that we presented to the client was to simplify the onboarding process through creating tile-based homepage, and also improving how users sign up and sign into the app itself. Stacking the offers with discounts highlighted, and reducing text to balance with more images to make it more visually pleasing, and increasing, I suppose, the engagement with the app itself. And then finally, sharing and promoting via social media apps.
Okay, guys, so there you have it. That was Sam. Let me just take this stream. Let me just remove this from the stream, and I'm going to add my slides. So there you have it. That was Sam. She's one of our model students who has done exceptionally well for herself, and now she's got the job that she wants. And yeah, just a taste of things to expect at UX Academy. So on this note, let's move on to the Q&A session. Yeah, so getting your questions, guys. We have Nora alongside me in the panel, who is actually one of the instructors on the beginner UX course, which is starting at the end of April. The links are in the description box and in the live chat if you're interested in that. We are going to talk about that a little bit more again a bit later after the Q&A. But yeah, get your questions in, guys, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We are streaming live on all 3 platforms. Get your questions in, get your comments in. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. Those niggling questions that you have about UX design, about a career in UX design, or about UX Academy, get your ideas in the chat, and we'll be happy to help you. So let's go through the questions. I think Nora is ready and raring to go. Let's scroll up, because you've had loads of comments from you guys before the video and after the video. So let's get some of those questions up. All right, so Stephanie asks, do we create a portfolio during the course? The answer to that question, Stephanie, is yes. You do essentially get an opportunity to create a portfolio during the course. So from week 2, you will be introduced to your clients, and you will be put into a team of at least 4 or 5 people, and you begin working on your portfolio with a real life company who is going to be your client. And at the end of the course, you will have an opportunity to present your portfolio to the clients. And of course, that portfolio will be noted in your CV as well, which gives you, a step ahead over a lot of people that just have hypothetical projects as their portfolio. Let's move on to the next question. Let me just bring up so many comments here. So many comments. I know some of you guys couldn't hear the video, and we managed to fix it. So thank you for bearing with us. So we got a question from Labstyle. Labstyle says, question for Q&A. Is UX design only adapted to digital products and services, or can it be applied and used in any type range of products and services? That's a good question for you, Nora. Can you take that?
That's actually a very, very good question.
Yeah.
If we look at, that's also why I like to talk first about history, and also where UX, the term user experience actually comes from. So the
Yeah.
way Don Norman coined the term is actually that it encompasses everything. It's not just I design homepages. This is actually, I think Don Norman even had a little bit of a kind of a rant video online where he commented on that and said, well, UX, it's not just about, oh, I design apps, I design websites, but user experience design is about designing the whole experience.
Absolutely.
However, yeah, on the other hand, usually like the kind of jobs that you see traditionally for UX designer, UI designer, UX UI designer will be on digital applications. So usually you might want to look into service design, which is, I mean, very much related, but often like positions that don't just involve digital applications, but rather a service would then have the job title, service designer, for example. In general, I mean, I wouldn't stick too much to job titles because it's a very much an evolving industry. So depending on where you're located, what company, and so on, people will kind of use the same job title to mean a different thing and the other way around.
Awesome. Thank you very much for clearing that up, Nora. Let's go to the next question. So Sandrine says, I work for a plastic manufacturer company as a customer coordinator, so I have no tech experience at all. Can I still get into UX design? The answer to that question is yes, of course. This is what the course is designed for. It's designed to take you from little or no experience in UX design to becoming a UX designer in just over 8 weeks and being ready to break into the industry and to apply for roles. Did you want to add to that, Nora?
Yeah, I actually would like to add something to that. So I can see here customer coordinator. Actually, I think usually people who have experience in customer service already have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to getting into UX design. At least from, as you've seen, like UX design is very much a broad field. So no matter what experience you have, you will have kind of a different entry point into UX design. And the advantage that people who have experience in customer service is that usually they have more empathy. So this kind of this is something crucial for UX design. It's having empathy for the user. And yeah, people with experience in customer service usually have that. It's already part of the work, and this way of thinking might be easier, even if maybe you don't have experience in tech.
Absolutely. Perfect. That's a great answer, Nora. Let's move on. We do have a few more. Wow, questions are now starting to flood in. That's what happens when one question can lead to another. All right. So Zofia, I think I pronounced your name correctly. My question is that how much coding does UX UI design require to become a successful designer? I'll let you take that. I know the answer to that, but I'll let you take that, Nora.
So it's also a very common question. First of all, you don't need to learn how to code to be a successful UX UI designer. However, I would say if you, of course, know a little bit of coding, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to know how to code your own software. But if you at least understand a little bit of how coding works, it will help you in the end to just communicate with developers. As you've seen, like that was also part of the tasks part of the tasks of a UX designer, of a UI designer. We need to communicate with developers. And if you have a bit more of an understanding of how it works and how developers work, you can just communicate with them better. And plus, you can also adjust your designs on it. You might have a better understanding on, okay, if I design it this way, that might actually be a lot harder to develop versus if I design it this way. So it's not necessarily about like coding knowledge, but it's more of a kind of, general tech knowledge or more of a passive knowledge of coding, you could say.
Perfect. Yeah.
But it's also not required for beginners. So.
Excellent. Yeah, I couldn't have answered that better myself. It's absolutely spot on. Okay, Stephanie is back for more. In the current market, especially in Germany, are there more opportunities for generalists or specialists? I think she's relating to the UX design specialities.
So I can't say anything about the market in Germany. However, what I can say, so I don't have any numbers. I think probably Google search will take you a little bit further on that. However, what you can think about is, would you like to work in a startup or in a small company, or do you want to work in a big company? That's maybe something to think about. If you are up for working in a startup or in a small company, you will automatically have a more of a generalist position. If you want to work for a big company, then you will have more of a specialist position. So I would say in Germany or also in other countries, you will have both. As said, numbers is something you would probably need to search for yourself, especially when it comes to the German market. But you will usually have both. And it just rather depends also on your preference, what type of company you want to work for.
Thank you, Nora. Okay, let's move on. We have a few more minutes to take more questions. Let's keep it moving. A little bit behind schedule, but we do have a bit more time. All right. We have another question. We have a question from Alexis. In addition to the course you offer, what are the best ways to practice UX skills, build a portfolio? Now, the answer to that question is wait to the end of this stream. We're going to give away a gift for you, which is going to do just that, help you with just that. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Jonathan asks, what's the average salary for a junior UX designer in London? I would say, Jonathan, you're looking at the high-end 20s in terms of between 20 and 30,000, the high end going towards mid 30s, you know, if you're lucky, you know, close to 40. But I'll say, you know, high-end 20s to about mid 30s. That's probably the salary range for someone in London, UX designer. So maybe like 28 to like 35K or something like that. I think I'm right. Yeah. All right, so Oxford says, what is the typical class size per cohort? So that's so typical class size is 12, Oxford. So we do keep the numbers nice and tight so that we can deliver the best quality. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, and Caroline asks, in London, are there more vacancies for UX or UI designers? What do you think about that, Nora?
I'm not based in London, so I find it hard to answer that question. Well, you could probably also then still add how many vacancies are there for UX/UI designers?
Yeah, I mean, really and truly, I mean, obviously, I'm based in London. There's a lot more. Obviously, there's a lot more businesses. You could, in theory, you could say yes because there's a lot more businesses and organizations based in London. Lots of agencies, lots of companies. However, because of this work from home culture, right now, you can pretty much get a job anywhere because you're working remotely from home. So it doesn't really matter where you're based. You can be in Birmingham and work for a company based in London right now because of the work from home revolution. Okay, so CRM says, when will there be another chance to enroll in the course? Possibly in a few months' time. But if you can get into this cohort, please, you know, obviously get in there. You know, the earlier you enroll, the earlier you can start breaking into the industry. We don't know what's going to happen. Which coding language would be best? There's so many coding languages out there. This is not a question that we are going to take. But yeah, you got Ruby and Rails. You have there's so many of them out there. But I mean, that's not a question we can do justice with. So we're going to stay away from that one.
Well, I could quickly maybe say one thing about it. Rather front-end development. So the first thing to kind of look into would be just HTML and CSS and maybe a bit of JavaScript.
Perfect.
So that would be, as said, it's not even the most crucial thing to know for beginners, but especially like maybe as more of a senior designer, knowing a little bit of JavaScript can be helpful.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you for that suggestion. Hope you found that useful, CRM. Okay. Coding keeps coming up. How much, if any, coding is taught in the beginner UX design program? So, Katie, the answer to that question is zero, zilch, nada, nothing. All right. You will be using Figma, which is a prototyping tool, which means you do not need any coding language whatsoever required. I don't think even Nora knows how to code. She might, you know, I could be wrong, but I'm not sure if Nora knows how to code. I know how to do coding a little bit. But yeah, no coding is taught because coding is not needed to be a UX UI designer. We use prototyping tools such as Figma and Envision, which we showed you at the beginning of the presentation, which you can rewind to the beginning where I do talk about that a little bit. But yeah. Okay, Stephanie asks, do we interact with other students during a course, group work or seminar, or each person learns for himself? The question is yes to all of that. So Stephanie, if you are still live and you're still with us, you will have the opportunity to interact with other students during the course, as you will be working in teams from week 2. You'll be grouped into teams, so you can work, in a team up to 4 or 5 people for group portfolio work. And also outside of your lesson time, you may also be doing some independent study. You may also be doing a little bit of independent work on your own self as well. So, we do combine both elements. There are some exercises during the course, which is just individual, but yes, you will have the opportunity to do group work as well. Okay, we have another question from Rasna. Rasna asks, what are the highlight points for this course versus compared to the courses General Assembly, Career Foundry for a complete career change? That's an interesting question. What I will say is the USPs, which is what I think you're getting at, is you can go to Career Foundry, go to General Assembly. You could they're all great. We don't want to be a bias. We don't want to be a bias to anyone. But what I can say is with General Assembly, with Career Foundry, I'm sure they can do a great job as well. But you will be looking at investing in thousands of pounds, okay, in order to get into their program. And their programs do take months at a time to complete. But with our programs, UX Academy, you are looking at 8 weeks for our programs. And within 8 weeks, you are ready to then go into the industry and start applying for jobs and start upskilling yourself, if you want to. In other courses of ours, you can get straight in, you can go straight into the industry, you can start applying for jobs straight away, and you won't necessarily have to break the bank. You won't necessarily have to spend months and months learning. I just spoke to someone today who I just spoke to a new client who is working with UX Academy, working with our students, who actually did take a course on Career Foundry, and they took them months and months and months and months. So unless you have lots of money and you have lots of months, this program would be suitable for you, and you can do it around your full-time or your part-time job or education. So that's a strong point that we do have. And one thing that I can say is that we do offer post-work experience opportunities. You do get work placement secured after the UX Academy. I'm not sure that's something that General Assembly or Career Foundry does. I think there is some kind of work guarantee with Career Foundry, but at the same time, you'll be investing thousands of pounds during a time where people are trying to be as economically smart as possible because of the pandemic. So I will, advise you just to kind of do what's best for yourself. But we are very competitive. Our students have been getting jobs. We have been delivering results. So that's one thing I can definitely say there.
Maybe if I can also still add something,
yeah.
Consider the way that you're going to be learning, and also consider what's the best way to learn for you. Because, for example, Career Foundry, it's very much like you can, if I'm correct, I think with Career Foundry, you can just learn whenever you have time. With UX Academy, you will have classes at a fixed time. So if you have a very irregular schedule, of course, that might be difficult for you. However, a lot of students also learn better in classes. You have direct contact with the teachers. You can ask questions. While, for example, with Career Foundry, you will be given the material. You work through it. You have some mentor calls, of course, but it's a different dynamic. So also think about what works for you as a learner.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nora, for adding to that. That was very useful. I can see our time has come short. So we're going to take the last 1 or 2 questions, and then we're going to start to wrap up. CRM says, okay, thank you. I did a coding course in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with code first skills. Maybe you can answer, Nora. Do you think Python would be a good skill to learn for a front-end developer?
Well, we're talking about UX design here, but
yeah,
I think
UX design.
I can quickly answer it. Python for a front-end developer, not really. Rather try to learn a framework like React. Yeah, I actually did a coding course, so I can answer that question. But it's like rather learn a framework like React and not Python if you want to be a front-end developer.
Perfect.
But this is not even relevant for UX designers. So if you want to become a UX designer, don't even bother with this.
No problem. Well, I think she's definitely she's following the conversation. Yeah, I mean, usually we actually give people opportunity to come on here and ask us questions live, but we don't have time today, unfortunately. Prem asks, classes are scheduled between 6 to 8:30 p.m. Is that UK time? Our sessions recorded in case you missed one. Yes, that is correct, Prem. We do record the lessons, okay? Except week 8, which is a bit more private. We don't really record week 8. And week 3 is pretty much all practical. So it's not really possible to record that week. Yep. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Katie. Awesome. Yep. So obviously, if you guys want to enroll into the Beginner UX Design course, the link is in the live chat, and we have more details about it in the YouTube description box if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, there should be some more information for you. You can also request a free course brochure. Look in the description box below, and you can request a free course brochure, or head over to our website. The link is in the box, myuxacademy.com. So there you have it. That is the Q&A session. I want to thank you guys all for joining us for the Q&A. Now, just to end off this webinar, why should you look at UX Academy? So our courses range between 6 to 8 weeks. So this beginner UX design course is actually 8 weeks long. As you can see, this is the picture from the latest cohort. So you will be joining all these smiley people here, all these lovely faces smiling, because they've got their certificates or they've finished the course. Look how happy they are. You'll be, amongst them if you sign up to the course. All right. So yeah, live interactive training. We use Zoom, as you can see, and Zoom breakout rooms for team exercises, which are live. And then we also use the likes of Mira and Figma for prototyping and online whiteboarding and infinity mapping. And we've had over 100 people graduate from our beginner course since the lockdown, the pandemic, the COVID virus happened, which is fantastic. And we have a number of success stories of people getting jobs. I will share another one in just a moment. It's one evening a week, so you can do it around your job or your full-time education. It's pandemic proven. As you can see, we've had people get jobs from us. You will graduate with a professional portfolio and become job ready. You have the opportunity to work in teams, build team building skills for future employment, access tutors such as Nora and Stratus, resources, unique insights, and CV, portfolio, and career support during the course. And we can obviously help you, for your interview or your CV after the course as well. And after the course, you will have a work placement opportunity, and there will be weekly mentorship as well. Let me talk you through mentorship. But before I talk you through mentorship, this is a recent student success interview that I did with Zarina, who's now working at a tech startup. She studied UX with UX Academy a few months ago, and if you would like to see this interview, let us know in the chat in the description box, and we'll make sure we will send that out to you. Okay. Mentorship. So if you look at mentorship, you can visit our website, myuxacademy.com/mentorship, or head over to our website to learn more. So essentially what you're going to get is weekly meetings with a mentor. The mentor for this course is going to be the lovely Nora, who you've just been listening to. She's going to help you to address any project challenges that you're facing and to discuss, things to do with UX life, UX careers. She's fantastic. She's really lovely. And she's going to be there to support you, and your team 30 minutes each week, which is fantastic. And yeah, make sure you take advantage of this. Now, this is the special gift that you guys have all been waiting for. We have a 23-page guide that me and the team have spent weeks putting together. UX Academy, how to break into the UX design industry. If you want to get your hands on this, please visit myuxacademy.com/get-in-UX-design. Or if you're watching YouTube, look in the description box below. Right at the bottom of the description box, there is a link so you can get your hands on this. You just put in your name and your email address, and you'll be able to download the guide immediately. And today you can straight away learn how you can become a UX designer. But of course, the course is there to really help you make that happen. Okay. Now I've seen just a couple of questions have come through about the course. I will answer those before we log off today. Marco says, how do you see future for UX designers? I can't decide which career path to choose after college. UX designer or product manager, both roles seem great to me. What I will recommend, Marco, is that I don't know if you've just joined the stream. Hopefully what I recommend is watch this stream, or what I recommend is perhaps just get in touch with me, Adrian at myuxacademy.com. I'll be able to send you some resources that can help you make that decision. But essentially, UX design, if you like to improve, if you like to, if you're all about the customer journey, if you want to deliver a great experience, a great product or great service with a great experience to the end user, if that's your focus, UX design's for you. If you enjoy creating new products, making updates, and if you're more the business side of things, then product management is probably a better fit for you. All right. So yeah, get your free UX guide, guys. And regards to Oxford's question, please share the discount code again. So the discount code is workshop 10. Okay, if you want to enroll into the course, workshop 10. I'll put it in the chat. It's also in the description box, and you'll be able to see it now on the screen. There you go. That's the code if you want to sign up to the course. We have, I think it's 7 spaces left. 7 or 8 spaces left. I think we sold half of the spaces left. We have maximum 15 people. This course is running at the 29th of April. Stratus is going to be taking the first lesson, and yeah, just make sure you secure your place. If you can't make it, we will refund you. If you want to pay in monthly installments, we do have a special monthly plan. If you're in the UK, so just get in touch with me or get in touch with UX Academy, and we'll be able to support you. And yes, just want to figure out the price. We have to pay $199 for the deposit, and then $950 for the course itself. No, that's not right. So you pay £199 for the deposit, and then we will bill you the rest of the money. So you will get to pay the rest later on. But if you're using the discount code workshop 10, you will save 10% off the entire course price, which is £950 minus £95. In the checkouts, a fraction of that discount will be taken, but the rest of the discount will be applied when making the second payment. I hope that makes sense, CRM. All right, so thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, Nora, for taking time out to join us in this webinar. And I think we've gone over time, so we do apologize because of the video. And we were over and out, and hope you see us. Hope to see you in the course. Links in the chat and description box. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.